to try to head him off.
Watch out he don't cut into us.
Pull over closer.
Nice chassis, huh, Joe?
Classy chassis.
Yeah, and it all belongs to me. I don't owe any payments on it.
I'll be glad to finance it, baby.
Who do you think you're kidding? You couldn't even pay for the headlights. Anything else?
I always have liked redheads.
You shouldn't. Red means stop.
I'm colorblind.
You've been horsing us around long enough. We ought to break your crummy neck for leaving us stuck out in the road with a busted wheel and lifting our load.
What do you want me to do? Dig into my pocket?
You owe us $300, Chisholm, and you're gonna pay us now if you don't.
All right, all right.
Well, you're not getting out. You belong with me and you're gonna stay with me. Only you're not going off marrying that cheap redhead.
I'm marrying Cassie, and I'm not asking anybody what they think about it. That includes you.
She hasn't any right to you. You're mine.
Come closer. I want to talk to you. I'm going to tell you an astounding story. The story of the Maltese Falcon. 600 years, the Falcon has carried the mystery of a fabulous wealth under its grotesque wings. I could tell you 1,000 tales of the men and women who have hunted this evil bird. But every story has the same ending. Murder. Listen to these incredible people, all consumed by their passionate greed for the Maltese Falcon.
What have you ever given me beside money? Have you ever given me any of your confidence, any of the truth? Haven't you tried to buy my loyalty with money and nothing else?
What else is there I can buy you with?
Who loves who? I won't play the sap for you.
I haven't lived a good life. I've been bad. Worse than you could know.
We were talking about a lot more money than this.
There are more of us to be taken care of now.
Well, that may be, but I've got the Falcon.
You may have the Falcon, but we certainly have you.
I've taken a lot of riding from you. I'm gonna take. Get up and shoot it out.
Stop it. The police will be here any minute. Now talk.
Oh, how can you accuse me of such a terrible...
This isn't the time for that schoolgirl act. We're both of us sitting under the gallows.
Just off Fifth Avenue, on a site long occupied by the old-fashioned townhouse of the Rockefeller family, stands the new-fashioned home of a nationally important institution, the New York Museum of Modern Art. No dusty storehouse for old masters, this museum is an up-to-date showroom for the art of our time, painting and sculpture, architecture and still photography, and the motion picture. For years, the curators and directors of the museum's film library have been gathering together a vast and significant collection of motion picture films, milestones marking the progress of the youngest and liveliest of the arts. Here, preserved for all time, are old negatives through which the people and the customs of an age long past will live forever. And in the museum's vault is the accepted ancestor of today's vast movie industry, a 10-minute film, The Great Train Robbery. Produced in 1903 for Thomas Edison, this was man's first attempt to tell a connected story through his newly discovered medium, the motion picture. Today, only a few decades after the Great Train Robbery, the art of telling stories with camera and film has become one of the nation's greatest industries, with a capital investment of billions of dollars. Each production is a highly speculative venture, for its story, its direction, and its cast must please the ever-changing tastes of those who support the industry, an army of 70 million U.S. moviegoers every week. International capital of the motion picture is a fabulously press-agented suburb of Los Angeles, Hollywood, a community whose name alone is a magic word throughout the world. But in Hollywood, where the vast majority of all films is produced, the making of movies is a serious and complicated business. Among the movie industry's 50,000 employees are men and women from nearly 300 trades and professions. Nowhere in the world are there craftsmen who take more pains, for in the making of a picture, carelessness in one single detail can mar the combined work of the hundreds whose talents go toward the making of a scene. Today, big-time movie making requires weeks and months of tireless research and preparation before a camera turns a single foot of film. And a big slice of every Hollywood producer's budget must go for the studio sets, which serve as background and atmosphere for his story. For the great movie public, becoming more and more observant, demands scrupulous historical accuracy and strictest attention to minute details. Every studio has its own museum, immense warehouses crammed with furniture and fittings, props from every nation in the world, from every period in history. Such elaborate attention to technical details has helped to make movie production prodigally expensive. On the fabulously successful Gone with the Wind, David Selznick spent some $4 million. And today, a $1 million budget is regarded as modest for a grade A feature. In its collection of books and original documents on the movies, the largest library of its kind in the world, the Museum of Modern Art's film research staff has amassed a living encyclopedia of the cinema. Being added daily to this collection is important source material pertaining to a young art whose entire history has been made within a few decades. But far more vividly than in any printed book, the museum is already teaching the history of the movies to the public through its educational programs of important films of the past, today being widely circulated to U.S. colleges and museums. In New York City, the museum has its own theater, showing programs designed to trace the progress of the motion picture since the days of its crude beginnings. In 1896, the first moving pictures projected on public screens were plotless incidents, but a minute long, that amazed and scandalized their audiences. 16 years later, in 1912, the moving picture had begun to tell simple stories. In many of them, Mary Pickford was the heroine, Lionel Barrymore her leading man. By 1914, the screen had begun to develop characteristic forms, the serial thriller and the westerns whose greatest star was William S. Hart. The same year, 1914, William Fox presented the world with the great movie vamp Theda Bara, whose exotic screen romances indicated the growing sophistication of the movies. Throughout the early teens, in Mack Sennett's Keystone comedies, the immensely popular art of slapstick was undergoing uproarious development. In 1914, a famed stage actress, Marie Dressler, making her screen debut, had an obscure London comedian, Charlie Chaplin, as her leading man in Mack Sennett's first feature-length comedy, Tilly's Punctured Romance. Almost overnight, the public discovered in Chaplin a consummate artist of slapstick and made him the most popular and highly paid comedian the world has ever known. The year 1915 is one well marked in motion picture history, for it was in this year that David Ward Griffith released his mighty spectacle, The Birth of a Nation. The most important single picture ever produced, it was the turning point at which the movies began to demand consideration as an art. In 1921, Rex Ingram's Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse launched Rudolph Valentino, the greatest romantic idol of the screen's history, on his short and brilliant career. By 1922, comedian acrobat Douglas Fairbanks was at the height of his fabulous popularity. In 1925, with The Big Parade, produced by Irving Thalberg and directed by King Vidor, the silent motion picture reached a new peak of dramatic power. The year 1927 brought to a close the era of the silent film, and the years in which, unrestricted by any language barriers, Hollywood and its stars monopolized the picture screens of all the world. Well remembered in the slow development of the talking picture are Dr. Lee DeForest, Theodore Case, and Earl Sponable, the research staffs of RCA, and Bell Laboratories engineers Donald Mackenzie and Edward Wente. Well remembered, too, is the fall of 1927, when the late Sam Warner, using Bell Laboratories equipment, produced the most revolutionary picture in all movie history, a film trademarked Vitaphone, that was to give the screen a new dimension and a new power.
Baby, I'm coming. Oh, God, I hope I'm not late. Baby, don't you know me? It's a little baby. I'd walk a million miles for one of your smiles. But
With one sound picture, the silent film was forever obsolete. Memorable was the terrifying realism of Universal's All Quiet on the Western Front, greatest of war pictures. Through the talkies, the late Will Rogers was endeared to millions across the world.
Well, all I know is what I read in the paper.
In Zola, Paul Muni demonstrated the forcefulness with which movies can handle biography.
Before France, before the whole world, I swear that Dreyfus is innocent. By my 40 years of work, by all that I have written to spread the spirit of France, I swear that Dreyfus is innocent. May all that melt away. May my name perish if Dreyfus be not innocent.
Though U.S. movie makers are often accused of indifference to anything except box office returns, they include many men of great ability and integrity. One among them is Darrell F. Zanuck, long production head of 20th Century Fox, who made his reputation by dramatizing news headlines and such issues as anti-Semitism and the treatment of the insane. In recent years, the British movie industry, given impetus by J. Arthur Rank, has begun to challenge Hollywood's supremacy in world film markets. Sir Laurence Olivier's screen productions of Shakespeare, counted among the great achievements of the cinema, have brought immense prestige to British films.
Remember it. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother, be he ne'er so base. And gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap, whiles any speaks that fought with us upon St. Crispin's Day!
up with speed. The French are bravely in their battle set and will with all expedience charge on us.
All things are ready if our minds be so.
Finish the man whose mind is backward now.
Thou dost not wish more help from England, cuz?
God's will, my liege. Would you and I alone, without more help, could fight this battle out?
You know your places. God be with you all! Countrymen, but all's not done. Yet keep the French the peace.
Though French producers have little money to work with, they have made some of the finest of recent films, including a lusty adaptation of Ben Jonson's great classic, Volpone.
Sa Majesté le roi Carnaval fera aujourd'hui son entrée dans notre bonne ville. Pleurez, citoyens.
Mais es-tu bien sûr qu'il est mort?
Un simple coup d'œil va vous convaincre. Vous voyez? Tout à fait inerte et rigide.
Peut-être qu'on peut encore le ranimer pour 5 minutes. Le temps d'amener un prêtre qui nous marierait.
On peut se tromper. Si on prenait une chandelle et lui brûlait le dessous des pieds. Le mieux serait de lui donner un petit gros cœur.
Oh, pas
Avec
ça. Pas ça. Respectez le cadavre.
The post-war years in Italy have brought to the fore a whole school of talented new movie makers who, on a shoestring, have produced pictures to rank with the greatest of all time. Today, the motion picture stands on a plane of achievement few could have foreseen half a century ago. What it is to become tomorrow is up to the hundreds of millions of moviegoers throughout the world who each week pass judgment on the most powerful medium of expression ever developed, an art form potentially as great as any in man's history.
made of pen and ink. She can win you with a wing. Yoo-hoo! Ain't she cute? Sweet Betty.
Magic mirror in my hand, who's the fairest in the land?
You're the fairest in the land. You're the fairest in the land.
I want to see my stepmama, stepmama, stepmama. I want to see my stepmama.
Her stepmama, the queen.
I've heard about your looking glass, looking glass, looking glass. I've heard about your looking glass.
And what it says is so.
Magic mirror in my hand, who's the fairest in the land?
You're the fairest in the land. You're the fairest in the land.
Off with her head.
Okay, queen. What a shame. Poor Betty.
Always in the way. I can never play. My own mama would never say I'm always in the way. Don't leave me here alone. I don't want to freeze. Save me, save me! Thank you. Am I the fairest in the place?
If I were you, I'd hide my face.
Folks, I'm going down to St. James Infirmary. See my baby there, she's stretched out on a long white table. She's so sweet, so cold, so fair. Let her go, oh bless her. Wherever she may be, she will search this wide world over, but she'll never find another sweet man like me. Now when I die, bear me in my straight leg breeches, put on a box back coat and a Stetson hat. Put a $20 gold piece on my watch chain so you can let all the boys know I died standing pat. Then give me 6 crap-shooting pallbearers. Let a chorus girl sing me a song. Put a red alone. Folks, now that you have heard my story, say, boy, hand me over another shot of that blues. If anyone should ask you, tell them I got those St. James Infirmary blues.
Magic mirror in my hand now. Who's the fairest in the land?
You're the fairest in the land.
Who could that be?
I don't know.
Excuse me.
Wir wünschen Herrn Paul von Hartmann. Wen darf ich melden? Gestapo.
Excuse me.
This is a scene from the motion picture, The Cardinal, being produced and directed by Otto Preminger. The action isn't quite to his liking, so here goes. Take two. The secret of these multiple suicides and elaborate scaffolding erected just below the window. This is a behind-the-scenes view of a major motion picture. The manufacturing of illusion on a grand scale. This is the anatomy of a movie. Early in the morning of December 11th, 1963, Boston newsmen pay homage to Hollywood royalty. Their arrival heralds the world premiere of a major motion picture, The Cardinal. This day is a milestone in the colorful career of producer-director Otto Preminger. He has been responsible for such varied films as Laura, The Moon is Blue, Carmen Jones, Man with a Golden Arm, and Exodus. And now Preminger launches The Cardinal. At 11:15, a meeting with Boston's mayor, John F. Collins, begins a day-long series of publicity rituals. At 12, a speech to the Rotary Club. At 2 o'clock, a press conference with high school journalists. Within a few hours, The Cardinal will be shown publicly for the first time. It has involved the talents of hundreds of men and women. And for nearly 3 years, The Cardinal has been the sole responsibility, the brainchild of Otto Preminger.
Though it takes many people working together to make a picture, it must, I feel, be essentially the product of one man's vision, one man's initiative, one man's conviction. It is his responsibility to get the others to share his understanding and his enthusiasm. I am sometimes called a tough director, but I am not really. My methods change with the needs of a scene, with the personality of the actor. For example, if an actor is basically a nice guy and has to play a role calling for toughness, I may use toughness to work him up. If I am tough to someone, their natural reaction is to become stronger and tougher themselves. But I must know my actor, know how much he can take. The production of The Cardinal took us to Europe, and among many other places to the beautiful valley of the Danube. I remember visiting here for the first time with my parents on a warm weekend in spring when I was just 7 years old. About 40 miles from Vienna is the old Dürnstein monastery. But for me, Vienna has two kinds of images. One, peaceful, civilized, cultured. The other, violent and cruel. In 1938, Hitler came to Vienna. The Cardinal is a story of man's struggle against intolerance, a conflict which occurs in many parts of the world and takes many forms.
Come on now.
This theme is what first drew me to the book. This is why I made the film. For the lead role of Stephen Fermoil, I chose Tom Tryon. Fermoil in the story is a young American who rises to the eminence of cardinal in the Catholic Church. The role spans over 25 years, so it had to be played by a young man who could be aged by makeup. The part called for sincerity, warmth, dignity, humor. Tom Tryon was a relatively unknown actor, but in my opinion, he had these qualities, and after exhaustive tests, I was convinced that he would rise to the demands of the part.
In reading the script, I found the character of Stephen Fermoil someone I automatically had great empathy for. I just kind of fell into the role. The most important thing I felt was to keep the character as strong and as simple as possible. The more or less Catholic aspects of the part were not as essential as my understanding of the man.
Tryon happens to be a Protestant, but it was not difficult for him to feel the part of a Catholic priest. He and the other actors became experts in the ancient ceremonies, the intricate rituals of the church, such as the ordination into priesthood. Wherever we filmed, the church of Casamari near Rome, the Basilica Santa Maria sopra Minerva in Rome, St. Stephen's Cathedral in Vienna, St. John's in Stamford, Connecticut, the clergy stood by as technical advisors. They even appeared as supporting actors to give the ritual scenes authenticity.
Accipe potestatem offerre sacrificium Deo.
The cameraman on The Cardinal is Leon Shamroy, 3-time Academy Award winner. As director of photography, he is in charge of the visual tools of movie making, lights and camera. The director conceives the action and mood. Shamroy must capture them on film.
I like Otto. We've worked together many times and we know each other very well. That's important because a director and a cameraman are together all the time on a picture. They have to be in tune. We usually agree about things. If we don't, we discuss it. In any case, what he finally decides, I try to give him, because in a production, only one man, the director, can be in charge. A big challenge to me in The Cardinal were the many churches we worked in. The huge places soaked up light like blotters. Then there was the physical problem of hauling our equipment from one location to another. The boys on my crew work 22 hours a day, 7 days a week, day and night, in all kinds of weather. When there isn't room for the camera, you make room. Otto wanted everything authentic, and this old Boston house was ideal. However, it required slight alterations for my purposes. Later, We put the wall back to keep the owners happy.
The story of the Cardinal begins in this house, carefully furnished to reflect the taste of an average Irish family in the Boston of 1917. For the part of Tryon's mother, Preminger calls Dorothy Gish out of semi-retirement. Her last movie role, 17 years before, was also for Otto Preminger. Clever casting is a Preminger trademark. He has the ability to detect unrealized qualities in his actors.
When I cast Carol Linley in the role of Mona, Fermoy's young sister, I made her change her blonde hair into black. The combination of dark hair, fair complexion, and blue eyes gave her a distinct Irish appearance. She also played her own daughter in the picture as a redhead. Besides revealing her beauty in a fresh and striking way, I think the hair changes helped Carol in achieving her characterizations.
In the picture, Carol Linley plays Tryon's sensitive young sister, a demanding and highly emotional role. As the tragic Mona, she is torn between loyalty to her Catholic family and her love for a Jewish boy.
I want to marry you.
Has he asked you?
Yes. I asked him to wait. He won't wait forever.
The difference in faith, it doesn't matter.
It's easier to make a part believable to yourself when you play the scenes in a real home or a real church. There is an atmosphere of authenticity. But sometimes the hardest thing to do is to find a quiet moment to get into the mood of the scene. Everyone rushes around trying to get ready all at once, and well, this is especially true of a location which is available only part of the time. Otto would insist that I concentrate no matter what, that I think of my part and nothing else. This perhaps is the most important thing that I learned to do on the picture.
On her brother again, this time in his professional capacity as priest. Her confession in this pivotal scene will force him to confront the full and fateful responsibility of his belief and his office.
Penney says let's leave all religion out of it and get married by a judge.
That wouldn't be a marriage. You'd be living in mortal sin.
What else can I do? Why do you think I came here, Steve? I want you to tell me what to do.
Hard as it may be, you must give him up.
In Boston, on-location realism is carried to an uncomfortable extreme. During the worst cold spell in the city's history, exterior scenes have to be filmed, despite frozen fingers and cameras which refuse to roll. One consolation, the steaming breath of the actors gives a gratifying touch of reality. To help sustain the director, there is a kiss from actress Romy Schneider, who chose this particular day to arrive from Europe.
I was born in a cold country where it can be cold in December or February or March. After 10 minutes, I asked myself how the actors can speak because you couldn't move anymore. The face, everything was blue. I never had so cold in my life.
Romy's part in The Cardinal is vitally important to her career. A popular star in Europe, this is her first appearance in an American film. She has come all this way just to meet her fellow actors and to discuss a role with Preminger. During this visit, she will also plan her wardrobe with Mrs. Preminger, who is costume coordinator on the production. Weeks from now, Romy will go before the cameras, playing the part of Anna Marie, a girl who meets Stephen in Vienna, where he is temporarily on leave from his church duties. Unaware at first that he is a priest, Anna Marie has fallen in love with Stephen Fermoil. And now, at this crucial moment, she challenges his vocation and his faith.
Are you jealous?
I'm a priest, Anna Marie, but I'm also a man. Men can show their feelings, but a priest has to learn how to hide them. I can't hide them anymore. I think I'm in love with you.
I know I'm in love with you.
I cannot ask you to kiss me while you're still married to the church. But in Vienna, even for a married man, it is a sin not to dance a waltz.
Do you think there is more in you than being a mere parish priest? The truth.
Of course I do.
Ha!
You wanted the truth, Your Eminence.
Ambition is a disease in any man. In a priest it can be fatal. At your age, it may still be curable.
In the story, the character of young Stephen Fermoil. Not the least of these is the outspoken Cardinal Glennon.
When I couldn't find the right actor to play Cardinal Glennon of Boston in the picture, I thought of my old friend John Huston, because who would be better suited to play a cardinal than a motion picture director? And the character of Cardinal Glennon, whom Huston plays, is very original, very unpredictable, very much like Huston in real life.
I think that Otto perceived certain qualities in me and that this was rather typecasting. And I've always admired cardinals' robes, and the idea delighted me. So I instantly said yes. I don't play the piano, but I made motions. Thank God the camera's eye was not on my hands. Otto told me a thing or two to do, and I followed his direction as a good actor should, and as I expect all good actors to behave under my jurisdiction. I felt that I was setting rather a precedent. If I didn't behave as an actor, then I shouldn't expect any actor to behave well for me. I just learned my lines and said them as best I could.
Of course, we've never had a priest working with the mafia before, but I suppose during your stay in Rome you made many interesting contacts.
Well, I had no choice, Your Eminence. I had to work my way through the seminary selling opium in St. Peter's Square.
You're not afraid of me, are you?
No.
Why not? Most people are.
Maybe it's because you remind me of my father.
He's a lucky man to have a son who's not afraid of him.
Quincy, Massachusetts. The Cardinal Company arrives on location as the first snowstorm in 3 weeks begins. Nature obediently follows the script, which calls for a barren New England village caught in the icy grip of winter. No real village could be found that looks shabby enough. One has to be built from scratch. But the extras are genuine residents of the area. They fit the scene and give the makeshift village a lived-in quality, an air of authenticity.
I'll always try to find a part for Burgess Meredith in my films. He's a strong and very versatile actor. Burgess has often played the devil. Now I asked him to play a kind of saint. In the role of Father Halley, he must express the power of a man's faith in God. A faith which sustains him despite ill health and a conscience troubled by past failure.
His Eminence mustn't know. He mustn't know that I'm sick.
Cardinal Glennon? Why not?
Well, you see, he gave me my first parish, St. Anselm's in Stowe. It was a small church with a big mortgage. And I couldn't lift it. And he sent me to Needham. It was a prosperous parish. There was money in the bank. And I ran Needham into debt.
Learns the value of humility. his spiritual education advances another step. A tawdry Boston dance hall, unused for many years, is restored to its former gaudy splendor by the Cardinal crew. Local girls, among them airline stewardesses, waitresses, and dancers, pour onto the set. Hired as extras, they find themselves decked in plumed and spangled luxury and told to imagine themselves as taxi dancers of the Roaring '20s. Carol Lindley must now project a sharp change in her screen character. In the story, several years have passed since her last scene. She must now show the effect of these years as Mona becomes an embittered and morally corrupt young woman.
You've got to hit this mark right here. We are set up for it. Now, will you please try again?
Mona's story reaches a tragic climax in a Boston hospital. If she is to give birth to her illegitimate child, she will die. Her life can only be saved if her unborn child is sacrificed. Even though Stephen can spare his sister's life, his faith decrees that he must not interfere. He must let God's will be done.
Atum optimum et omne donum perfectum totiusque decoris ornamentum benedicere et sanctificare dignare anc.
I saw the rise of Stephen Vermoyle to a position of eminence in the church as a summation of his life's experience. I saw his life as a long, adventurous journey with moments of profound doubt, temptation, and despair. His faith was tried and tempered by worldly experience. I saw the church as an organization of men bound together by their faith. It has endured because it is strong and strict, yet flexible enough to hold restless, searching spirits like Stephen Vermoyle.
December 11th, 1963. Mr. and Mrs. Otto Preminger ride to the world premiere of The Cardinal, climaxing grueling months of editing and dubbing. It's a gay and glamorous occasion with all the trimmings. Leading citizens turn out to shake the producer's hand. Good Cardinal Cushing of Boston is sponsoring the premiere and delivers a welcoming speech.
I have come here to tell you that I am grateful to Otto.
But when the fanfare is over, there comes a moment of special significance for producer-director Otto Preminger.
For 3 years, The Cardinal has been my life. First an idea, then work. Lots of stimulating, exciting work, which I enjoyed very much. Now it doesn't belong to me anymore. Now The Cardinal belongs to the audiences around the world. They will decide its future.
Next on Hollywood and the Stars, Hollywood Goes to War. An unusual blend of grease paint and gunpowder, of GIs and glamour. From the bond-selling circuit to the foxhole circuit.
Nothing to it. My hand just burned off. Are we winning?
Hollywood goes to war. Next on Hollywood and the Stars.
Produced in association with the NBC Television Network.
The great outdoors is the open playground across Canada today for healthy, happy children. Yes, and adults too. The unlucky ones who have contracted polio in a form serious enough to cause severe disability are relegated to the sidelines and can only watch. Much is being done, however, by the Canadian March of Dimes to relieve suffering and give the polio handicapped a chance to resume normal lives. Iron lungs, therapeutic baths, physio and occupational therapy, and hydrotherapy are only a few of the many services provided. Help us in our efforts to substitute skis for crutches, skates for braces, and health for handicap. Give generously to the Canadian March of Dimes in your province. Help them work and play again.
Don't pick it up. Let it ring. This call brings a message of death to the one who must answer it. A call that will plunge you into one of the most startling stories ever told. It rang first over the airways when the initial broadcast of this amazing drama made history. Response was unprecedented. Critics acclaimed it as radio's finest production. Rebroadcast 7 times, an all-time record. Sorry, Wrong Number since then has been recorded, made into a best-selling novel, and now...
Still don't want to use the gun?
But make sure it's quick. Our client says he doesn't wish to make us suffer long.
Don't worry, there won't be no slip-up.
What number is it? What am I calling?
Their strange conflict, their even stranger love, brought to its unforeseeable climax in one unforgettable night, when a woman overhears the plotting of a murder. But which call has created this perfect pattern of terror? Is it Sally's, who hated her as no other woman could, yet warned her of the danger in that dark, empty house by the sea? Is it Mr. Evans, a voice from nowhere, who told her of the hidden other life of the man she loves? Is it Dr. Alexander's, who discovered her deepest secret and revealed it to the man it affected most? Or is it Henry himself? Henry, who played the most desperate game of all.
I want you to get out of that bed and walk to the window. I want you to scream out in the street, Leona.
Well, I can't move, Henry. I'm too frightened.
Keep trying. Otherwise, you've only got 3 more minutes to live.
doing in there?
I was just looking around.
He's trying to kill me.
Hey, let's not go off the deep end again. You've had a bad shock. Now, who's trying to kill you?
Alan.
Alan?
It wasn't just Chris and me. You had to kill Aunt Sophie first. You sent me the cable that she was dead, and then you killed her.
You think it's easy to kill somebody? It takes time and patience and courage from their strong stomach.
Oh, stop it, stop it. I don't want to hear anymore. You're a man.
You took him away from me. You tried to take Chris away from me, too, but you won't have either of them, whatever happens.
Oh, Morgan, listen.
Get out! This is still my room. Now get out.